The morning sun glinted off the silver helicopter parked in the middle of the company's rooftop. Employees gathered around, whispering and pointing, curious about what their boss was up to this time. Olivia Carter, the confident and sharp-tongued CEO of Skyview Industries, stood beside the chopper with a smirk on her face. She was known for her bold challenges, but this one was different. "Fly this helicopter, and I'll marry you," she laughed, tossing the words at her team like a dare. Everyone chuckled nervously, knowing it was just one of her jokes. No one in the building could even dream of flying it. But then, out of the crowd, a man wearing a faded blue janitor's uniform stepped forward. His name was Leo, quiet, humble, and always the first to arrive and last to leave. Leo was the kind of person most people barely noticed, yet at that moment, there was something calm and certain in his eyes. "I'll take that challenge," he said softly. The crowd went silent. Olivia blinked, unsure if she'd heard right. "The janitor, the same man who mopped the floors every night?" She laughed again, louder this time, but Leo didn't flinch. He simply climbed into the helicopter, checking the controls with the ease of someone who'd done it before. As the blades began to spin, everyone watched in disbelief. The air buzzed with tension and Olivia's smile slowly faded. Who exactly was this janitor? The helicopter's engine roared to life, sending a gust of wind across the rooftop. Papers flew, and a few employees stepped back, shielding their eyes. Leo's hands moved confidently over the controls, his expression calm, focused, almost too familiar with what he was doing. Olivia's laughter faded into disbelief. This wasn't some lucky guess. He knew exactly how to handle that machine. Whispers spread quickly. "Is he really flying it?" Someone murmured. "But he's just a janitor." Another replied, "No one just flies a helicopter like that." Olivia crossed her arms, trying to hide her surprise. She had built her empire on reading people, spotting talent and weakness in seconds. But Leo, she had never even noticed him before. Now, as the helicopter lifted a few inches off the ground, she couldn't look away. Who was this man who swept her hallways but flew like a trained pilot? Inside the cockpit, Leo's mind drifted back to another life, a life he had buried long ago. The noise, the wind, the smell of fuel, it all came rushing back. Once, he had been more than a janitor. Once he had worn a uniform and carried responsibilities far greater than a mop and bucket. But he had chosen silence, content to live quietly. Until this challenge pulled him back into the sky, down below. Olivia's eyes followed him, a mix of fear and fascination tightening in her chest. Something told her this flight would change everything she thought she knew. The helicopter hovered smoothly above the rooftop, its shadow spinning over the glass walls of the tall building. The employees below could hardly believe their eyes. Olivia stood frozen, her usual confidence slipping, as she watched Leo handle the machine with quiet mastery. This wasn't luck or coincidence, this was skill built from years of experience. When Leo finally landed, the silence was so heavy you could hear the blades slowing. He stepped out, calm and unshaken, wiping the dust from his sleeves as if nothing unusual had happened. Olivia tried to speak, but words caught in her throat. The man she had always overlooked had just done something even her most trusted pilots couldn't do with such grace. Later that afternoon, Olivia called Leo into her office. The sleek, modern room felt different now, charged with a quiet curiosity. "Who are you really?" she asked, her tone softer than usual. Leo hesitated, eyes drifting toward the skyline. "Just someone who used to fly before life took a different turn," he said. His answer only deepened the mystery. Meanwhile, whispers spread through the company. Some thought Leo was a former military pilot. Others believed he had once worked for a secret government project. The rumor mill grew wild. Yet, through it all, Leo stayed silent, focused on his work as if nothing had changed. But Olivia couldn't let it go. Something about him felt connected to her past, to a story she had never fully understood, and she needed to know the truth. Days passed, but Olivia couldn't shake the image of Leo in that helicopter. Every meeting, every call, her mind drifted back to that calm expression on his face. She began digging into company records, searching for any clue about him, but his file was almost empty. No previous address, no background details, just a short note. "Joined as maintenance staff 5 years ago." It didn't make sense. Someone like him didn't just appear out of nowhere. One evening, as the office emptied out, Olivia found Leo in the hangar, quietly polishing the helicopter. The sound of her heels echoed across the floor. "You're hiding something," she said, her voice steady but filled with tension. Leo looked up, his eyes tired yet unreadable. "Some secrets aren't meant to impress," he replied softly. But Olivia wasn't convinced. "You flew like someone who's done it all his life. Who taught you?" Leo didn't answer right away. Instead, he handed her a small, worn-out photograph from his pocket. It showed a young man in a pilot's uniform, standing beside a helicopter identical to hers, but, in the background, Olivia's late father was visible, smiling proudly. Her heart skipped. "Where did you get this?" she whispered. Leo's gaze dropped. "Your father was more than your mentor," he said slowly. "He saved my life once." The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. The pieces were falling into place, but not fast enough. Olivia could sense it now. This wasn't just about a helicopter or a dare. It was about a past that was about to come crashing back. Olivia stared at the photograph, her hands trembling slightly. Her father's face, frozen in that old image, carried a warmth she hadn't seen in years. The realization that Leo had known him sent a chill through her. "He saved your life?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Leo nodded, eyes distant. "It was during a rescue mission, years before your company existed. Your father was the pilot, I was his co-pilot. We were caught in a storm. He made me promise something before that crash." Olivia's breath caught. Crash. The word hit her like a punch. Her father had died in a mysterious helicopter crash when she was a teenager, one that no one could fully explain. She had grown up believing it was mechanical failure, nothing more. But now, hearing Leo's words, her world started to tilt. "What are you saying?" she demanded. Leo took a deep breath, his voice steady but heavy. "That it wasn't an accident. Someone sabotaged the helicopter that day, and I think whoever did it might still be connected to this company." The air grew thick with tension. Olivia's heart pounded as she glanced at the helicopter, suddenly realizing how close history might be to repeating itself. "Why are you telling me this now?" she asked. Leo's gaze darkened. "Because the same person who tried to silence your father has been watching me too, and they know you've started asking questions." At that moment, a distant sound echoed footsteps approaching from the hangar door. The footsteps grew louder, echoing against the cold hangar walls. Olivia turned quickly, her pulse racing. From the shadows emerged Mr. Hayes, her father's old business partner, and now the company's chief advisor. His calm smile didn't reach his eyes. "I see you've been digging where you shouldn't," he said quietly. The tone sent chills down her spine. Leo stepped forward, shielding Olivia slightly. "You were there that night," he said. "You're the one who cut the fuel line." Hayes' expression hardened. "Your father was going to expose me for stealing company funds. I couldn't let that happen. You were supposed to stay silent." Leo, the truth hit Olivia like a thunderclap. The man she had trusted for years, the one who had guided her after her father's death, had been the reason. She lost him. "You murdered my father for money," she whispered. Hayes took a step closer, his voice sharp. "Don't call it that. I built this empire. You were just a child when I saved it." But before he could say another word, Leo moved swiftly, grabbing the emergency alarm lever on the wall. The siren blared, filling the hangar with red light as security rushed in. Hayes froze, realizing his secret was no longer hidden. Olivia stood tall, her fear replaced with strength. "You didn't save this company," she said firmly. "You poisoned it?" As Hayes was led away, Olivia turned to Leo, tears glinting in her eyes. "You kept your promise," she whispered. Leo nodded quietly, but before leaving, he handed her the old photograph once more. On the back, written in her father's handwriting, were the words, "The morning after the chaos." The rooftop looked peaceful again. The helicopter sat quietly under the soft sunlight, the same machine that had started everything. Olivia stood beside it, the photograph still in her hand. For the first time, she felt close to her father, not through business deals or success, but through truth. She now understood why Leo had stayed silent all these years. It wasn't fear. It was loyalty to a promise. When Leo came to say goodbye, Olivia smiled sadly. "You could stay," she said. "The company owes you everything." But Leo shook his head. "Your father wanted you to lead, not to look back," he said. His voice carried a calm strength that reminded her of the sky steady and free. The board cleared Hayes' name from all company records, and Olivia took charge with a new purpose. She renamed the rooftop helipad after her father, marking it as a symbol of integrity and courage. Before leaving, Leo placed his old pilot's badge there, shining against the metal surface. As the helicopter lifted one final time, Olivia watched it fade into the clouds, feeling peace instead of loss. She finally knew the truth, and, more importantly, she understood the meaning behind her father's words. Some people fly without wings, not because they have to, but because their purpose keeps them in the air. The janitor who once swept the floors had reminded a CEO what it truly meant to rise above everything else.